we'll have a chat with you in a minute. First, could I welcome Paul, first of all, to come up and be brave, to be able to ask a few questions. I feel this is a bit of a deja vu moment because we've been here before quite a few times in interviews.
Third time lucky.
Yes, third time lucky, as they say. So it's great to have you back. But before we start talking about what's going to be happening this season and what you're going to be contributing to the club, you left the team last year, and but you're back here now. But you went to Solihull Moors, and you were playing in the National League, whatever they call it these days, the National League. Something, or conference, and you had a great season with them, and but it was quite an exciting season towards the end. Tell us a little bit about your time at Solihull Moors.
Hi everyone. Yeah, started off tough. Solihull Moors, obviously we only had a small budget, a small team, and change of managers 4 times didn't really help. I think we had 60 players come in and out the door over 4 months, I think. Then we got a steady ship in Mark Yates who come in and steadied the ship and brought back Jamie Osborne who made a difference, and a few other players, and we just kind of got together as a team and knew we had to get ourselves out of trouble, and we all dug in for each other, and you know, in the end I think we were the top 16 in the league, and I think that's just down to the players we had and hard work and just in it as a team.
Fantastic, it was a great escape from relegation because it was really odds on that you were going to be relegated, but fantastic end to the season. And we tried it here, but we weren't quite so successful, but here we are now. So as they say, never go back, and you're coming back for a 3rd time, which is quite a commitment on your behalf, because you actually haven't played for many clubs in your career, like a number of players. But so, what was it attracted you to come back here and say, yeah, I'm going to go back there again because there's something special about that club?
I think it was talking to Mike. You know, first thing he said to me was, I want to win promotion. That's something that I want, that's something that Tim wants as well, and I've never won one. So the chance to come back and have a right go at the league and hopefully try and win it, that was number one. And obviously coming in and doing some coaching and trying to learn from these two and hopefully help the younger players as well.
So how does that fit in with your own personal ambitions? Because you've been solely a player, but now you want to come in and learn those coaching, perhaps get coaching badges. What's sort of your thoughts about the future of your own personal career?
Obviously I still want to play. I want to play every game if I can, but my mindset is now that when we're in training, I'm looking at Mike and Tim doing in the training sessions and how they do it and how they put things on. As a player, you never really care about what goes into putting on training sessions, whereas now you're actually thinking, planning ahead and seeing what's going on. So that's changing for me, and you know, and hopefully I can learn a bit off these two this year and hopefully do more in the first team.
And is it solely the first team? Because here at Tamworth we've obviously got the scholars, we've got the junior teams which are part of the club, we've got the under-21s. Do you see yourself fulfilling a role with those teams as well?
I think over the season I might get thrown in to do some sessions with the 21s and maybe come down and see the kids as well. You know, but obviously I want to try and focus on playing and doing a bit with the first team at the minute, but over the season I should imagine I'll do bits and bobs.
Right, and is that sort of a full-time role you've got here, or is it part-time, and what you're busying yourself with the rest of the week? What's the personal life of Hall Green without being too personal?
No, it's part-time. I teach in primary schools PE, so I go into different schools over Warwick and Leamington and do PE sessions and after-school clubs and coaching for them over there. You know, I leave all the full-time stuff to the gaffer over there and all the headaches and stuff, but you know, I've been coming in more and more over the last 3 weeks and I'm just getting a bit more involved.
Super. Now you played with a couple of guys who are now being signed on by yourselves as part of the management team, Chris Late, Christian Green. Tell us a little about those guys and what they can bring to the club from your experience playing with them.
Greenie, you know, a good, solid defender. He will give everything every game. He wants to win, and he's someone who you want in the dressing room. And if times get tough, you know, you've got that character in him who will you know, give 100% and try and back the team. And Leahy, obviously he was injured last year, but coming back into training and seeing what he's got in him, and you know, there's a lot more to come from Leahy, and I think these two have seen him over the last few years as well, and he scored goals, so to get him in is a bonus for us.
And quite interesting, I'll mention this to Mike as well, but there are two guys there who are playing at the top level of non-league football, but they've dropped down 2 divisions. What does that say about the ambitions of Tamworth Football Club?
Yeah, we're a big club, so I think the draw of coming here and getting a promotion, I think that was the biggest thing. And you know, if you've got a promotion on your CV, it's brilliant, and everybody wants one. So for them to come in and to get them on board was just a massive kick for us.
Fantastic. Well, we hope it's on your CV too, as well, at the end of the season. Brilliant. So, would anyone else like to ask Paul a question? You've got an opportunity here now. Do shout out loud, and I'll repeat it for the sake of the camera. Boo! Look at that, Paul.
No questions, right? I forgot to sit down.
Racing to ask you questions. Anybody? No? Well, they'll be there to buy you a pint afterwards then, Paul. So, thank you very much. Paul Great. I wonder if I could invite Tim up now, please. Fantastic. Let's give Tim a welcome to the club. Thanks very much. Fantastic. It's great to welcome you to the club, and it must be a better place being in the home dugout than the away dugout, which I bet you've been in a few times here, isn't it?
I certainly have, and you know, my memories of coming here with Newport County over many years and getting absolutely abused left, right and centre was a memory that I used to love, because to be fair, the passion of the fans, you know, I think is important at every football club, and certainly the fans here have got some great passion, but we used to enjoy some good banter, that's for sure.
Fantastic, and yeah, so I'm sure when you went out last week in the pre-season game against Solihull, it was great to... Did you have to be directed to the right dugout, or were you sort of going to a bit further along all the time? Anyway, for those of you that don't know, you've had a great playing career as a footballer yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you played for and what position, and because I think you played as a goalkeeper as well at one stage in your life. Tell us a little bit about that too.
Well, that's good knowledge. Yeah. I was a goalkeeper. I started off at Shrewsbury Town many years ago, and then I moved to Newport County. If I'm honest with you, I wasn't good enough to make it in the professional game, you know, but I had some great experiences with managers like Colin Addison and a guy called Len Ashurst, and you know, they become really good friends of mine over the years, and certainly in Colin Addison has helped me tremendously in my management career. But then I moved into non-league, and I had a 5-year stint at Cheltenham Town, which culminated in winning the Southern League Premier Division Championship then, which was I think the top league. You know, I decided then that I wasn't really going to make it as a footballer, as a professional footballer, and I started my own business quite relatively young, and my career has really gone from sort of playing into management by accident. A friend of mine who I played with at Cheltenham took over at Gloucester City, and he asked me to go along and help him, and that's how I got into management by accident really. Well, I was developing my business as well.
And as you sort of moved into management, you sort of moved around the sort of circles of the South West and South Wales, Newport, Merthyr Tydfil. Is it Cinderford as well on your teams or not?
Yes,
yes, Cinderford and Gloucester. And Gloucester seems to sort of crop up a lot in your life.
Yeah, I think when I left Newport County as a player, I went to Gloucester City, and then got transferred to the neighbours Cheltenham Town, which was very pleasant. Yeah, Gloucester City has been a big part of my career. I live in Gloucester, and it's the local city club, and you know, it was a privilege to play for them as a youngster, and it's been a privilege to manage them. But unfortunately, there's been you know, some hard times with them being flooded in 2007, and 11 years not going home. It's tough, but you know, Cinderford Town is where my management career started, and took them from the bottom of the Gloucester County League into the Southern League, and had a fantastic cup run. So that's what really got me the bug into management. and then fortunately I got offered the opportunity to go to Newport County to help them get back in the Football League. So that was a really good progression for me.
And sort of looking at your career in management, you've had the sort of the realms of the gaffer yourself, and you also had experience as a director of football and general manager. Looking back on your career so far, what would you say is probably one of the highlights of your management career? Would it be the Newport County experience, taking them to the league, or would it be that Cinderford Town experience?
Well, I think, I've been around a long time, that's why I'm great. But, in all honesty, I've had some fantastic moments. I've been fortunate to be involved in winning 7 promotions, 4 championships. I've been to Wembley twice, and I've had 3 fantastic FA Cup runs. And to highlight one, I think when I left Gloucester, when we got promoted to the National North, knowing that it was going to be some time before they moved back, the opportunity to go back to Newport and to manage a guy called Dean Oldsworth and finish the job of getting Newport County back in the Football League. That day at Wembley when we beat Wrexham it'll be with me for the rest of my life. It was just very emotional. It had been a lot of hard work by a lot of people at the club, supporters that started the club from scratch again when they went bust. So, that has to be the standout moment for me. And
of course, on the opposite dugout that day was Andy Morrell, who was quite recently here as well. And but it was quite emotional because it was an all-Welsh affair as well, wasn't it, at Wembley? So it must have been a fantastic day for you. So you recently at Gloucester City, and we've obviously played you a few times at Gloucester recently, and then you finished the season at Redditch United, and then you've come here. How did the move to Tamworth come about? That's what we're interested in.
Okay, well look, I've already talked about my love for Gloucester City Football Club, and that will never wander because it's just a crying shame when you look at the state where they are. Whilst they might be in the National South League, the not playing at home for 11 years in the city is tremendously difficult on people like the supporters. And I put my heart and soul into it, and I just felt I got crushed and I couldn't do no more. So I thought it was time to sort of move away from Gloucester, as much as that was a very difficult decision. And then I got a phone call to go to Redditch, and my first reaction was, no, I don't really want to go to Redditch.
Not many people do.
No, and I probably, in hindsight, made the wrong mistake. But I went there under, a few promises about this was going to happen, that was going to happen. And in all honesty, in the space of a couple of months, I knew that it was not going to be right fix for me. In the meantime, obviously Andy had got the sack, and Mike had took it over. And for some of you who are not aware, that Mike Fowler has captained 3 of the sides that I've managed, and so there's nothing about Mike Fowler that I don't know about, the good and the bad.
Tell us about the
bad. Well, I won't embarrass him now, but he loved the moan. So Mike, when he said, look, I need you to come, I need a bit of experience, and I've worked with you and all that. And I said, oh look, I'm not the sort of guy that's going to jump ship straight away, and leave somebody in the car, because I felt it wasn't right. I'd said I'd go to the end of the season, and if he could put in place what he was talking about putting in place, then we could possibly take the club forward at Redditch. But it wasn't to be. And then Mike rang me and at the end of the season said, look, could you come and meet the chairman and the vice chairman? And I come up and I just go back to the fans again, and I know that there's a few of you in the room today that it's just a passion that you showed. And you were talking earlier about you got relegated. I've fortunately never been relegated in my life, but it's tough. And what happens when you get relegated is you can either crumble or you can take your first step forward and get and sort it all out. And it's pleasing tonight to see the sort of people here, and the people that I keep bumping into and meeting, and the people that might talk to me about. There is a real desire. And the first question that the chairman said to me, he said, where do you think Tamworth should be in the football pyramid? In all honesty, and I'm not going to, excuse my language, I'm not going to swear, but in all honesty, I think you're a National League club, but unfortunately you're not. And that's what we've got to deal with today. and we are very positive, it isn't going to be easy. You know, we played Belper last night, and it was a tough battle. You know, and we're going to have a lot of those this year, and we're going to need to be patient. But I think we're getting a squad together that is certainly going to, you know, hopefully give us the platform that we want, and that's to get back into that National League and then hopefully go again.
Fantastic, that's really encouraging and positive to hear you say that, and that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But how do you see your role developing with Mike then? You've come in to work with him as the Director of Football. How's this responsibilities going to work, and where do you see your role within the club? Do you have a role across the whole of the spectrum with the under-21s and the scholarship and academy, or is it just the first team? How's that going to work?
Well, anybody that knows me knows that, you know, I've got aspects of all parts of the club, from the community to the youth sections, that they're vitally important, and so are the supporters and the young supporters, and bringing on the next generation of supporters. That is a vitally important part of any club, because without a good youth setup, without good youngsters coming involved in supporting this football club, there really is no platform to go forward. But I don't want to put myself in a situation. We are totally focused on getting this club out of this league, and my relationship with Mike and his ability, he's a top class guy, and he's a very good coach. I'm not just building him up because he sat in the room, but he's a really good coach. I think I can help him in terms of my experience, in terms of my contacts in the game, the recruitment and things like that. But I see it that, you know, the title means nothing. The title of Director of Football or the title of Head Coach means nothing. You know, we're here with one aim, and that's to get this club promoted.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So, final question. We've had 3 friendlies so far. What do you think of what you've seen so far of the squad?
It's, you know, it's early days, isn't it? You know, I'm probably a little bit more impatient than what Mike is and what Paul is, really. You know, my first impressions that we were quite a long way off where we need to be, but it is early days. But I was really pleased last night. I thought they were very physical, as I said earlier, and I thought we started to show the fitness levels. Our fitness levels were far superior than them in the end, and we moved the ball well, and we created several opportunities. So it's early days. In pre-season, it's not, as everybody says and every manager says, it's not about results whilst you want to win games, because winning games becomes a habit, and that's what we need to do.
Tim, thanks so much. I'm sure that people might have some questions. That sounds a bit of a contradiction in terms, I'm sure. I think that we will have some questions. Teresa?
Yeah, obviously with our nice 3D pitch, what do you feel you can bring to the club? Because last season, when we were at home, when we were playing on the pitch that we train on, that's fine, but come the middle of winter, we're going to be going to places where the pitch is not going to be nice, we're going to be knee-deep in mud. How are you going to prepare the players for that sort of situation?
So basically the question is, how are you going to prepare the players for playing on rubbish pitches?
That is a very good question. I will say that, because in my short time at Redditch United, we did play on some poor pitches. You know, and unfortunately, as a group here now, we've not really experienced that with some of the standard of the pitches in the National North League. Most of them are pretty decent, with the exception of 1 or 2. But at this level of football, there are 1 or 2 pitches, and we've got to possibly be a little bit more direct. You know, whereas you know, out here on a carpet, you can play the beautiful game, but there's times when you're going to have to change your game plan, and you're going to have to adapt. And it's having that quality of players that can actually do that. So, you know, hopefully that answers your question.
Good question. Thanks, Teresa. Anyone else like to ask Tim a question? Yes, 2 questions. One at the back in the blue t-shirt first, then Andy.
How far away are we personnel-wise?
How far away are we personnel-wise in terms of signings? Is that what you mean, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant.
To where you want to go, you know what I mean?
I think where we are at this present moment in time, as I said earlier, that I was really pleased last night. I thought I could see some development in what we're trying to do, and the fitness levels have been improving. The lads worked extremely hard on Saturday. They put on a great session, the hardcore of it. I don't think that you can ever say that you're going to be exactly where you want to be, because there's opportunities that arise, and that's what's so great about the team builder. You know, if there's somebody out there that's better than what we've got to go and get them. And I think if you become complacent with the group that you've got, and bear in mind I said before about being focused and make it absolutely clear, you know, of our aims and ambitions this year. It ain't going to be easy, but if there's someone better out there that we've got, and we can financially afford them, we should go and get it. So we're not too far away. We do need 1 or 2 additions, and Mike and myself are talking about that now. But yeah, I'm relatively pleased where we are.
Fantastic, thanks. Andy?
I'd just like to ask one thing. You go on about preparation, you know, sorting the players out and everything else. You're travelling from, you know, quite a distance, Gloucester and everything. Well, you've got time to spare, wouldn't you?
Do you really want to answer that?
Yeah, I will answer. Honestly, there's a guy there in the know. On my first experience of being involved with Tamworth, I drove my lovely Mercedes car through the car park and hit a pothole. We trained for a few hours, and then we had the staff, the supporters game, and then I got invited out for a meal with the chairman and Mike and the staff, and unfortunately I didn't get there. Because after waiting 3.5 hours for the AA, and then waiting another hour for someone to come and put a tyre on, I left home I think 7:30 in the morning and got back at 10:30 at night. But hey, these things happen and you've just got to deal with it.
It was a nice meal though.
What? What, you mean in Burger King? Travel services?
Oh no, that's horrible. No, we hope you don't experience that again. Anyone got a question? Another question? Or should we let Tim escape and bring Mike forward? Oh, Dave, yes?
I noticed last night that we played a trialist up front, number 9.
Yes.
And I thought he was very good.
Yes.
Are we going to be signing him?
A lot of people have talked about last night's number 9.
Yeah.
Very impressed with him.
Look, you probably know who he is, you know, and he is a good player. You know, he's a bit temperamental, but we've not signed him yet, but we are going to talk to him again. But who knows? But I thought he done very well last night.
So there's your answer. Okay. That saves Mike having to answer it. Anybody else? Well, thanks ever so much, Tim. It's been brilliant chatting to you. Mike. Welcome back, Mike. Let's give him a round of applause. I'm glad you're here. So, one thing that a lot of people are asking is that from the end of the season to the time when the news was sort of announced that you were staying and in the new role or new setup, what was going on in that period? Because it seemed a long period of time, 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks of sort of no news coming out. What was going on? No comment.
No. First of all, it was obviously it was a difficult time for everybody. So it was just a case of getting to grips with what's happened. There was a post-mortem, obviously, and just looking at accountability. You know, where does it lie? Obviously, I took a lot of responsibility for what happened, as you would. And it was just that time, as we've said publicly, it was about making sure that the next decision was right. And there was a lot of factors to go into that. So it was like Tim said, that you got invited up to speak and meet with the chairman and the vice chairman, and just gather all the facts really. And they wanted to know why, what happened, and what would I do different, and what would I do next, and what would we do. And I think that patience over that time helped a lot of things, because obviously when it first happened, emotions were high, and sometimes decisions are made when emotions are high that doesn't necessarily always benefit everybody. So I think it was the right thing. I think, you know, there was things going on behind the scenes in terms of recruitment. Obviously players were leaving, and that was difficult for fans to understand, you know, without anybody named as manager or a management team who was making those decisions. And I think that I can honestly say that it was a collective. You know, everybody at the club that was involved at the club at that time were having discussions and deciding what was best for the club going forward.
Great, so the new management team is now in place, and whose idea was it in terms of to change that structure, to bring in a director of football, to have yourself as sort of the first team coach, and Paul to come in as well, and Lee, is it Lee Randall?
Lee Randall. Yeah. I don't think, like Tim said, I don't think the titles were as much of a big thing. I think it was, like, for me personally, going into management for the first time, and obviously everybody knows what the outcome, and it wasn't great, and I still fully believe that, you know, I can achieve good things as a manager, as a head coach, whatever. But there are things I'm honest with. I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, and obviously Tim's experiences, as you've heard tonight, what he brings to the table, I think they complement what I can bring to the table, and it was just about getting the right people in the right place. And I think the other thing I was big on last year is I was having to overcoach and overmanage from the touchline for players last year, not being able to think for themselves and not being strong enough mentally. And I think the recruitment side of things, obviously bringing up Paul Green in, that's going to be involved in the coaching and the process, understanding what we're trying to implement, able to take from the office into the dressing room and then onto the pitch, and he knows exactly where we're at, so he's going to be able to make his own decisions on the pitch rather than us trying to shout across to the other side of the pitch and change things. So yeah, it was important we did that, and obviously Lee Randall coming in. Lee's, like Tim said, I've captained 3 of his teams, and I've worked with him for a long time, glutton for punishment I think, but no, it's a case of, at that point at Gloucester, when I was at Gloucester with Tim, Lee Randall was there at that point, and I know Lee very, very well, and what he's great at is being around the lads and making sure the right person is getting the arm around the shoulder or getting the best out of people. And you know, sometimes as management, when you're in the office and you need somebody around them like that, so we'll bring that.
Lovely. So you talked about there were lots of questions. People were looking at what went wrong and trying to come up with that, and accountability. So what will fans see differently this year as a different approach perhaps to the way things happened last year? What's going to be, you know, in the face and say, yeah, that's different?
Winning.
Good. Right answer.
That's going to be the biggest change. So no, I think to be honest, I think we sat down, and I think a lot of people I've spoke to, though results were not good enough, and I know that performances were at times. You know, we played really well at times, and we didn't get what we deserved, you know, from goalkeeping mistakes and everything else, and there's no excuses. But that's done, that's gone. And this year, we want to continue to attack. That's going to be a main thing for us, is attacking, creating loads of chances, getting enough bodies in and around the box to score those goals, and playing exciting football. Really, I think that's the biggest thing that I can say that we're going to do. But I think the standard of player this year, I think, is better than what, well, I know it's better than what I had last year. The standard of person, the quality of the person in the dressing room. They've come in, they've hit the ground running. They've talked about in the press, some of the players, about the team spirit already. It's fantastic, and they don't look like the squad that's just been, you know, 15 whatever new faces coming in at the same time. So yeah, that'll be a different thing.
Good. And maybe this is a bit of a controversial question, but last year we had the fanfare of the 5-year plan. Is that still around?
Yeah, I think the 5-year plan's an easy thing to point the finger at and shoot it down in flames. At the end of the day, it's a football club, it's a business. You've got to have a plan. If you don't want to be at a club that hasn't got a plan, then you're wrong. You've got to have a plan, and the plan for me is already bearing fruit. And we've seen 5 scholars make their debut already in pre-season. And without that plan, without the start of, you know, starting the academy and the scholars and everything else, you don't have those 5 players. You're getting 5 trialists that have no affinity to the club. And we've got 5 local lads in and around it. Like you look at yesterday, you've got Dexter, who started really well. You've got Charlie Shaw, did really well last night. Chandler Pegg in the squad. Josh Steele, Tim's lad that's obviously previously played for the club. And so there's 4 local lads that are in the squad. And for me, that plan is a massive part of it. And we've got to be going towards it But obviously I get that first team football, first team results and where we finish and getting out of this league is of massive importance, and that's what we've got to focus on. But in the background, that'll still be working.
And in terms of that, obviously the 5-year plan has seen the fruits of that coming through as in the 5 scholars that have come through, as you talk about. What would you sum up as your vision for the club?
For the club is just to make the footprint of the club bigger, is to expand locally and try and bring as much community as we can into the club. Tim talked about it earlier and how important fans and supporters are, and young supporters, the next generation. I think it's huge. If we've got 160 players in the academy at the minute, not all of them. The likelihood is, less than 5% are going to make that into the first team. So, are you creating 95% of them as future fans and keeping that ticking over really? And it's got to be about winning. We've got to focus on getting as many local lads through into the first team. But ultimately, if they're not good enough, we've got to win this league this year and go on again and try and win the league above.
Talking about signings and sort of players which are coming into the club, there are a good number of new faces which have come in. We've already talked about 2 of them that come from Solihull Moors, and actually making that drop down of 2 divisions. Actually, that's quite a remarkable thing for players to do when they want to play at the highest level. But they obviously see something in the club that they really believe in and want to be a part of. Tell us a little bit about the other players that you've brought in. A couple of guys from Redditch and the captain of a club just down the A5. I can't really talk about.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the 2 lads from Redditch, Tristan and Righty, they've come highly recommended from Tim. Hadn't seen a lot of Righty before, but since he's come in, his attitude's been fantastic. Very similar to Andy Burns in that sense, and he's all action. But I think he's got a lot of potential. I don't think he's seen anywhere near his potential yet, because I think he's been at a level playing with players that are not quite as good as the ones that we have, and I think we'll see him really come out of his shell. Tristan I've known for a long time. We admired him when he was at Worcester. I thought a lot of him then. He's got some great attributes, powerful, pacey, and when his confidence is up as well, I think we're going to see a different player. He's been bumbling around a few clubs, but Tim got hold of him last year at Redditch, and I only know myself. I came out of the pro game and Tim signed me out of the pro game, and I know that under his guidance I was able to get back to where I wanted to be, got the best out of me, and I know that that's something that we're going to lean on with players like Tristan as well, and I think he could be big for us. And yeah, Bez, I think that was an ongoing saga. It was just, a big coup for us, massive coup for us. He was very influential for them last year. And obviously for Solihull before that, and I just felt that, and we certainly feel that we just need the right type of people in there that can manage a game of football and understand the game of football. If we needed to do something, they can do it, but also they have their own ideas, and they'll organise each other and make sure it's done. So he's a real talent, and I think when he gets back playing as well, because everyone keeps saying we can add players, but we've got Bez is not playing at the minute, but won't be long, and then you've got Leahy, who's going to be a big asset for us. Scored 25 goals at this level 2 seasons ago, and Righty as well. Add those in, and you've got a good strong squad. And
probably the most important, not say the most important, but a key position is the goalkeeper, which we really struggled with last year and probably cost us a number of points through mistakes. And we don't hark back about the decision to not sign up a full-time goalkeeper, but you must be delighted to have Jazz Singh along, who's already in the pre-season friendlies shown what he's made of.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost is goalkeeping aside, he's just a great person. He's got a good stature about him. He comes into the dressing room, he's taken hold of the dressing room straight away. And his presence is immense. And then you go onto the pitch and he does performances like he did against Solihull. Obviously, if it wasn't for him, it would have been a few more goals. Made some cracking saves. His kicking is good. He don't shut out like last night's game. We were in their defensive third, so he was about 70 yards away from the ball, and he's screaming at people to get on toes. And it's a breath of fresh air, to be honest. So he's been great.
And There are some players that you chose from last season's squad to sign on again. Some of them were contracted anyway, so they were contracted to be here. But there are a few others that you've chosen to sign, like Kettle and Regan. Tell us about what your decisions to say, yeah, I want you to be part of this team.
I think everyone saw what Joel was about at the back end of the season. Come in, it was a bit wobbly to begin with because he hadn't played for a while, but at the back end of the season he was one of the players that was a bit of a rock for us, and I think he put a couple of man of the match performances in, and a real presence and a leader as well. So he's somebody that we were keen to tie down. And then Regan is another lad that we invited back because when we signed him last minute when Sam Coulson got injured last year, and then we signed Regan and he played 8 games and he was outstanding in those 8 games, possibly our best player. Got injured and he was unlucky then for the rest of the season with injuries, and he was still dealing with the heartbreak of being released by Wolves, so he's got a good pedigree, and he seems in a lot better place this year mentally and physically. So he came back in. Tim, Paul and I were really impressed with how he came back, and it was a no-brainer here to get him signed up, so quite happy with that. And obviously you've got Verms and Quaz as well, so that were already signed, but yeah, we're happy. And
I've sort of just been reading a little bit in the press and forums about performances so far in pre-season, and a couple of positive phrases that came out was the work ethic, seeing the DNA and seeing the gelling together. It's what you've been talking about, but it's what people are starting to see already. That must encourage you.
Yeah, I think look, let's just put it to bed last year again. I think that's one of the things I'd say is that maybe trying to get that right when you're in game after game after game is difficult, but pre-season is a fantastic time to do that. Tim and I and Paul are very similar in our philosophies and how we want to play the game, and we understand this year that it's not always going to be about how we want to play and how people want to see. It's going to be times where it's going to be ugly because of the pitches and the teams you play against. But what we've said is I stand by it, and I'll stand by it all season. We've got fantastic players, and majority of the time we will have better players than the opposition, and we will be a massive club in that league. And the challenges we're going to face are going to be ones that they're going to try and outwork us and try and upset us a little bit. And we've got, the message on Saturday, Tim talked about the session we did on Saturday, was to challenge them mentally and physically, to try and push them past that point where it feels comfortable to the uncomfortable part where they need to dig in. And they did that, and I explained to them then, I just said, look, this is what it's going to be. If you're going to be a better team, we're going to try and play the right way, but there's going to be times where you're not going to be able to, and you're going to have to get the best out of each other. So if we match their work rate, their effort, their ugliness, the ability will shine through, and we'll win games.
And finally, the fixtures are out tomorrow at long last. It's a brand new league. It's not only just that we've been relegated into a league, but it's actually a brand new formed league. What are your thoughts of it when you sort of look around at some of the teams which are in it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, although it's a new league, the teams are not new. There's a lot of good teams in that league. It's a great league to win, be the first winners of it. It's something that we've targeted. Yeah, it's going to be tough. There's teams as far as Lowestoft and places down there. So we've been there. We've been to Lowestoft, Kings Lynn's. We've been there. We've been Kettering. It's just going to be about whoever we get, whenever we get them. We've just got to make sure our mentality is right towards those games and get, like Tim said, about habits and get into the winning habit, which is 2 out of the first 3 games, performances pre-season. Yeah, we wanted to improve, we want to take a step forward, but winning's a habit. Clean sheet last night was a good habit to start, so that's what we're going to be about.
Fantastic, sounds great. Questions, anybody? Would anyone like to ask Mike a question? Here we go. Teresa, straight in. Go on then, Teresa. Not about pitches, is it? No, good.
When will you be announcing who's going to be your team captain?
When will you be announcing who's going to be your team captain?
I don't know, to be honest. We've obviously with them playing 45, it's a difficult time this season. We're making so many substitutions and trialists. It's difficult, but I would imagine in the next couple of weeks things will settle down now. And you've seen in the last night players are starting to play more minutes in games as they get fitter, because we're trying to reduce the risk of injury. And then when they're able to play those games 75 minutes and 90 minutes, you'll start to see.
Will you have your own idea as to who you want to be captain, or are you going to see how it evolves? And do you think an obvious captain will make it obvious for you?
You might not have even signed it yet, you never know.
No, we certainly have an idea. Yeah, we have an idea.
Cool, thank you. The question there, yes?
Obviously, last season, Danny Newton, to a lesser extent, Dyer, left a big void in our game up front. Lessons to be learnt this season with the new format. Do you think that we can get a decent striker, or at least a decent striker plus more, that can fill that void for us?
Talking about last night's number 9 again, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, a big thing for us now is like we've got a good nucleus of a squad. I think there's going to be quite a few players that can score goals, and you'll see that throughout the squad. Obviously, I mentioned Chris Lake scored 25 at this level. Yet to see him. I expect Quaz to score goals this season as well, and obviously we've talked about recruitment, and we know it's an area where we need to strengthen, and we've been on the case with that, and obviously there was a couple yesterday that were in yesterday that did relatively well, so we'll definitely an area we need to look at.
Watch this space. Yes, Kev.
Mike, is there anything that you can do, I think, going into this season to get the players a little bit more involved with the fans, particularly after a game? A lot of players in recent seasons have tended to just sort of get showered at home. We understand they've got commitments, families and whatnot, but yeah, from when I started being a fan when I was 13, that's what I always remembered. That was my club, particularly in here. We didn't have a sponsor suite. So is there anything that you yourself can do to get that sort of interaction back a bit more?
Bringing the interaction back between players and fans.
Yeah, there's been a few things discussed. Like one of the things I would say, like playing under Tim, was a huge thing for us as players. We knew there was no grey area really. He would say that you're in there for an hour after the game, and that's it. You know, I think last year when I took over, I tried to implement it as much. I was here till 7, 8 o'clock most nights after games, on Saturdays obviously, but. And we tried to implement it, but I think that it showed the mentality of the group that some of them didn't want to face the music really. But it's already talked about today, the fine list for the players, which Paul's in charge of anyway, is that they have to be in here till a certain time after games on a Saturday, definitely. Obviously Tuesday's a little bit different because they've got work on the Wednesday morning as well, but they have to show their face every time and make that effort. So.
Cool, that sounds great, super. Anybody else like to ask a question? Clive?
Right, you mentioned we've got 3 players injured or carrying injuries. When are you expecting to see them in the team?
And do we expect to see the injured players in the team?
Yeah, it was precautionary really. Just like we're very conscious of having a full fit team for the start of the season rather than trying to push them. We could probably have got Righty out now already training and Lacey possibly as well. So it'll just be a case of when they're ready to go back in and we know that they're not going to break down again, and making sure that we have our strongest available squad, not just the 11, come the 11th of August.
Okay, somebody else? Yes?
Yeah, I'd just like to bring up the point about earlier on about the centre forward. I felt last year we were bullied out of a lot of games because we weren't physically big enough, and I think what we're missing from the Solihull game is we haven't got a big powerful centre forward to hold the ball up. It just comes straight back. What's your thoughts on that? You know, are you looking for one striker or are you looking for 2?
Yeah, because they had a big number 9, right, didn't they?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, obviously the Solihull game has to be taken into context because they went as strong as they possibly could be, and it's 7 League 2 players playing from last year. So, and we had a number of trialists, so it was difficult. But I see your point, and like I think they've alluded to already, is we're in talks with a couple now, and ideally a couple of forwards would be part of that plan, really. So.
Yeah, because like the 4 trialists you had were all about the same height as the team. And I thought we've got nothing up front to hold the ball up. Taking that chap's point there.
Yeah, I think the general consensus was that, and we know that. We know what we need to improve on, and that's what pre-season's about. I don't want them to be, and we don't want them to be like raring to go now, and then they've got 3 weeks where you've got to try and keep them there. It's about just taking a step forward every game and improving every game. And as I said, when it settles down in a couple of weeks' time, then and we're getting closer to the season, I think you'll see a more settled team and some new forwards in the squad as well.
Okay, thanks very much.
Lovely. Thank you very much for your question. Anybody else like to ask a question? Or should we let... Oh, Emma.
We mentioned obviously Mike's taking on head coach and Tim's director of football. So what I'd like to know is, on a match day, who's actually the boss, who takes the reins?
Who's the boss on match day? Now's your chance because you've got the microphone to say.
Like Tim said earlier, it's not about. I mean, Tim and I have got a fantastic relationship where we will talk about things and we won't fall out, or probably will fall out. We've fallen out in the past over things, but it's not one of those that will affect the decisions. And I think it's just about leaning on each other really, and just trying to get, Tim's got, like I said, strengths, and I've got strengths, and we know what they are internally, and where whatever decision needs to be made, I guess, would fall within our strengths. I think that's the honest answer I can give you, really.
Great, thank you very much.
I'd like to just ask a question. Last season there, a lot of times we found that the opposing team, one of the people that were high up, sat in the stand with us, and he was communicating with the bench. Are you looking something like that? So, for instance, he could sit in the main stand and see football from a different angle.
So it's actually where people operate from in terms of management of the game.
Yeah, I mean, we did it a couple of times last year. We used the goalkeeper coach to do that because, obviously, you won't know Tim as much, but you'll try and prize him away from that technical area. I think it'd be very difficult because he's passionate. I think Emma's already said on one occasion that she's going to be standing with him a few times, I think, because he's a little bit, a bit passionate, let's say that. He shares more dislike for referees as well, so we're going to have to take it in turns. But I think, I don't think that will happen as such with Tim and I, because obviously we need to be discussing and looking at things as they go. And already I've seen the benefit of that. Just chatting on the sideline about different things, tweaking things in games like we did yesterday, and it was important that he was there with me for that. So I would imagine that would be the case.
Because it seemed a good thing because you were getting two sort of four eyes watching the game. Like the person sitting in the stand could help to you. He's seeing the game from a different angle than you're seeing it.
Yeah. No, I definitely. We did it last year a bit as well.
Yeah.
We had walkie-talkies. I don't know if you know that. We had walkie-talkies at one point. We had a coach taking a different angle from myself and Scotty and feeding back to the bench, and we felt it was good. But I just sometimes you can get too many opinions as well, so it can be counterproductive. If you've got to back what that's our job, and we've got somebody on the pitch that, as part of the staff, that can give us another insight as well. And there's a lot more leaders within the group this year, and more experience in the group, and I think that you will see a difference with having Jazz as well, that he sees everything and will communicate that. So I think we're quite set in that sense.
Great. Anybody else?
Clive.
So, what you've got currently signed, how many more players are you actually looking to sign?
And how much money do you need from Clive?
No, I mean, I think we've discussed it anyway. We're looking at strengthening the back line, another centre half, in our opinion, and two forwards. So if we can get that, and we get the right, it's important we get the right people. We don't want to just panic and get somebody in because they play that position and they've done all right. We want to improve, like Tim said. Let's keep improving and get players in that are going to strengthen us and be better than what we've got. Otherwise, you just bring in like for like, and it's not of any benefit.
Okay. Anyone else got a question? I've got another one, but you go first, Kev.
This is maybe not even related to the way the squad's going to shape up now, but there was a lad that played the first half at Addiston and came off with an ankle injury. It was a trialist, I don't know the name, so I'm just wondering if there's any news on the guy. I felt so bad for him.
Yeah, he signed Spezzic.
That was right.
Yeah, that was Ryan. Yeah. Just a precaution. He's obviously come off because he's rolled his ankle, but he's back walking and fine. He was at the game last night, and he's made
Is that all you get?
good improvements. So.
Cool. There's an answer for you. And quick question, because there were some players you invited back, and one of them's gone off to Stourbridge. And Dan Jessup, what's happening to Dan? Has he decided to go elsewhere, or is he still around?
He thought that Stratford had offered him something, and he'll be back training with us on Thursday. So.
Oh, right. Okay, super. Anybody else got a question they'd like to ask Mike? I'm sure you'll ask him individually if you're a bit shy in front of the crowd. Is that a hand? Is that a raised finger to ask a question?
When the fixtures come out tomorrow, which team would you like to play and where?
Juventus.
On the first game?
Yeah.
I think you're on record in the press saying you don't care, really, do you?
Yeah, to be honest, it's focusing on what's going on inside the building at the minute. We're not really bothered who we play. Like I said in the press today, that some people like a home one, some people like an away one. It's just important we just get off to a good start, and wherever that is, it makes no difference to us, I don't think.
Lovely. I'm going to draw the official questioning to a close there. Thank you very much, Mike. I really appreciate it being drilled. Thanks all.